The internet wasn't ready for the heat Cardi B brought when she took to Instagram Live and directly called out Erika Kirk by name. And this time, she wasn't pulling any punches. In a 10-minute firestorm that's already racked up millions of views, Cardi exposed Erika's two-faced messaging, highlighting receipts that span years of side-eyes, coded podcast clips, and fake femininity narratives. "You ain't no role model, sis. You just curated your shade," Cardi said, sparking a wildfire of commentary across every platform. Within hours, fans, influencers, and even Erika's past collaborators jumped in. And what started as one Instagram Live became a full-on cultural showdown. Erika tried to clap back, but the damage was done, and the truth was out. Cardi wasn't just speaking up. She was speaking for all the women Erika had quietly erased for years. And now, there's no going back. It all started on a quiet Tuesday afternoon. Instagram was doing what Instagram always does: memes, reels, fashion fits, when suddenly Cardi B went live. No warning, no filter, no makeup. Just raw, unfiltered energy and rage. Within 5 minutes, over 1 million users had tuned in. And before anyone could figure out what was going on, Cardi dropped a name that made everyone sit up: Erika Kirk. "You've been talking slick for years," Cardi said, adjusting the camera with her signature long nails. "But now, I'm gonna talk back." The chat exploded. Erika Kirk, known for her conservative podcasts and squeaky clean public image, had been skirting around direct drama for years. She never named Cardi, but fans had receipts. Podcast clips where Erika talked about hypersexual female rappers poisoning youth, Instagram posts praising modesty warriors, with side-eye captions clearly aimed at women like Cardi, and tweets favorited that questioned whether Cardi was even fit to be a mother. And Cardi had seen it all. "I ain't perfect," she said in the live, voice rising. "But you don't get to build a whole career tearing down women like me. You hide behind scripture while throwing shade. That's not righteous, that's calculated." She then pulled out her phone and read from screenshots, Erika's captions, quotes, even comments where she'd liked shady takes from far-right influencers, calling Cardi a cultural virus. The crowd watching the stream lost it. TikTok immediately began stitching pieces of the live. Cardi's quote, "You ain't no role model, sis. You just curated your shade," trended within the hour. Meanwhile, Erika was silent. No response, no post. Just a gaping hole where her usual inspirational content would be. Fans, even some who had supported her for years, began demanding answers. "Is this true? Why haven't you addressed the Cardi accusations? Why so quiet now, Erika?" On Reddit, users dug up past podcast transcripts. One thread pointed out a 2021 episode titled "The Collapse of Class," where Erika spoke at length about the glorification of vulgarity. While she never mentioned Cardi by name, the examples were obvious. Chart-topping songs like WAP, lyrics about empowerment through sexuality, and criticisms of women who thrive off attention. The backlash was swift. TikTok creators began comparing Erika's messaging to respectability politics dipped in essential oils. Twitter was relentless. One viral tweet read, "Erika Kirk built a brand on whispering down to women like Cardi." But Cardi? She just screamed back, and we all heard it. And Cardi wasn't done. She followed the live with a tweet. "This ain't the 1950s. I can be loud, sexy, real, and still be a good mother, wife, boss, and woman of faith. Your image of perfect don't own the rest of us." With that, the internet had officially chosen sides. Support poured in from major voices. Megan Thee Stallion tweeted a heart emoji with, "We been new." Lizzo reposted Cardi's live and wrote, "Ain't nothing wrong with being too loud for their little boxes." Even Billie Eilish liked a clip of Cardi calling out the hypocrisy. Cardi then posted a photo of her younger self in the Bronx with the caption, "They tried to shame me out of my power, but I used it instead." The image went viral. Fan edits popped up everywhere. Cardi with angel wings, Cardi versus the patriarchy in pearls, Cardi breaking chains labeled modesty standards. Meanwhile, Erika's silence continued to scream louder than Cardi's mic. Her Instagram likes plummeted, former followers unfollowed by the tens of thousands. Her DMs reportedly were full of fans saying they felt betrayed, confused, and used. Even her brand sponsors began getting tagged in backlash threads. Cardi took to Twitter again, this time quoting one of Erika's old podcast captions. "A real woman doesn't have to raise her voice." Cardi added, "Then I guess I ain't your kind of woman, but I'm still winning." Boom. That single tweet racked up over 600,000 likes and was printed on t-shirts within 48 hours. What Erika hadn't counted on was this. Cardi wasn't just an artist, she was a force of culture. And when you come for the culture, even politely, the culture will clap back. Cardi ended the week with a Billboard cover story, filmed just days before the blow-up. In it, she spoke about motherhood, identity, and faith. When asked about the Erika situation, she said simply, "I believe in God, but God ain't never told me to judge other women. That was all her." By the time Friday rolled around, Erika posted her first and only response. A quote card that said, "Grace is louder than gossip." Comments were limited, but screenshots flew. One user commented, "Ma'am, she brought receipts." "That ain't gossip, that's a court case." Another wrote, "Grace without accountability is just branding." And that's what Erika was quickly realizing. Her brand, built on calmness, composure, and curated criticism, had finally met a voice too loud to ignore. And Cardi wasn't done yet. The dust from Cardi B's livestream had barely settled before her words morphed into a digital movement. Within 24 hours, the hashtag #Jamer'sNotYourRoleModel was trending in 17 countries. TikTok creators posted their own reactions. Instagram pages turned the best quotes into carousel posts, and Cardi's soundbite, "You ain't no role model, sis," became the background audio to thousands of videos. But this wasn't just a viral moment, it was a cultural turning point. Cardi wasn't attacking Erika because of faith, she made that clear. "I'm not mad she believes in God, I believe too," she tweeted. "I'm mad she uses her beliefs to draw a line in the sand and pretend she don't see me on the other side." That line hit deep. Faith leaders, activists, and everyday women began speaking up. One minister from Atlanta posted a viral video saying, "Modesty and morality should never be weapons of exclusion. Cardi may not speak the way you want her to, but she's speaking the truth." Meanwhile, Erika's platform was growing quieter by the hour. After her cryptic quote about Grace being louder than gossip failed to soothe anyone, she went dark. No stories, no posts, no podcast drops. But Cardi wasn't done talking. She dropped a teaser for a new YouTube series titled Loud Women Real Talk, featuring unfiltered conversations with women from all walks of life. In the trailer, she sits across from a young woman who says, "I thought I had to be quiet to be respected. Then I heard you." Cardi smiles and responds, "They respect what they fear, so let's give them something to fear." The internet went wild. Clips from Erika's older content began surfacing. A particularly damning one came from a now-deleted live where Erika said, "Feminism is beautiful, but not when it's vulgar or loud." That sentence, especially the word loud, became the final push. Cardi fans flipped it into merch, hats, hoodies, stickers with "loud" in bold, blazing letters. Meanwhile, sponsors who had worked with Erika began reevaluating their ties. One Christian wellness brand removed all references to her, citing a need to reflect on our values. A popular conference canceled Erika's keynote, replacing her with a speaker known for advocacy in women's rights and inclusivity. The silence from Erika's side finally broke, but it didn't break well. A week later, Erika dropped a 5-minute YouTube video titled Clarifying My Heart. In it, she looked visibly tired, seated on a gray couch. She spoke in a calm, rehearsed tone. "There's been a lot of talk, a lot of division, and a lot of misunderstanding. I've never sought to harm or judge, only to uplift. But there was one problem." She never said Cardi's name. Again, comments immediately flooded in. You still won't say her name? This ain't clarity, it's cowardice. You caused harm, own it. And then Cardi fired back. She went live again, just 10 minutes after Erika's video dropped. Girl, not saying my name ain't gonna make me disappear, Cardi said, sipping a glass of wine. You judged me without knowing me. You tried to erase me without confronting me, and now you want to clarify your heart without naming the one you came for? Nah, we done with that. This time, the backlash against Erika was nuclear. Former supporters began releasing statements denouncing her silence. Her podcast dropped out of the top 50. Followers dropped below the million mark for the first time in 3 years. Meanwhile, Cardi was soaring. She was invited to speak at a digital summit called Reclaiming Real, hosted by activists and creators across the spectrum. Her panel? Loud, loved, unapologetic. She opened her talk with, "I'm not your role model, I'm my own, and that's enough." The chat section of the live summit exploded with support. "You're the voice I needed at 16. You just healed 10 years of being told I was too much. This is what real empowerment looks like." Even celebrities began chiming in. Zendaya reposted the clip with the caption, "Role Model Unlocked," while Viola Davis tweeted, "Truth doesn't need to whisper, it just needs to be heard." Back on Erika's side, the meltdown continued. Her next podcast was canceled. Her merch line was pulled. And when she tried to host a Q&A, it ended within 5 minutes due to overwhelming backlash. The message was clear. The era of curated clapbacks and filtered femininity had ended. Cardi B wasn't just louder, she was clearer, and she had the receipts to prove it. As the dust continued to settle from Erika Kirk's painfully vague apology video and Cardi B's searing livestream rebuttal, a deeper shift began to emerge, a cultural reckoning far beyond two public figures. Cardi's stand had exposed the undercurrent of exclusionary messaging that had long been tolerated in faith-based and conservative spaces, and the internet wasn't going to let it slide anymore. Mainstream outlets picked up the story fast. The Atlantic ran a headline reading, "The End of Whispered Morality," while Vulture's write-up simply said, "Cardi B said it louder, and she was right." Opinion pieces flooded platforms from every angle, all echoing the same core message. Erika Kirk represented a form of respectability politics that had quietly marginalized entire communities, and Cardi had blown the whistle. But it wasn't just op-eds and commentaries. Real-world changes began to manifest. A dozen women-led podcasts that had modeled themselves after Erika's Faith Plus Femininity brand pivoted overnight, issuing statements of solidarity with Cardi and openly admitting they had centered whiteness and silence in their platforms. A Christian influencer network dropped Erika from its speaker roster entirely, stating, "Empowerment means making room for all voices, not silencing the ones that challenge us." Meanwhile, Cardi was showing no signs of slowing down. She launched a limited video series titled Uncensored Women, featuring stories from creators, pastors, mothers, and students who had been shamed, excluded, or quietly disinvited from faith spaces for being too loud, too bold, or not on brand. Each story was gut-wrenching and shockingly familiar. One guest, a seminary student, recalled being told to lower her voice while reading scripture because assertiveness isn't feminine. Another, a Black single mother, shared how her church stopped including her in women's ministry events after she began sharing her testimony online. Cardi let them speak, then ended the episode with her now iconic line, "You ain't too much, they just ain't enough." This wasn't just commentary, this was liberation. And while Cardi gained applause, Erika was losing control. Even those who once defended her began distancing themselves. One former collaborator posted on Threads, "Erika helped shape my early voice in the faith space, but silence in the face of harm isn't leadership, it's fear." Another simply posted a photo of a candle with the caption, "Time to burn down the old ideas." Erika tried to recover. She posted a new podcast titled Rebuilding from Hurt, where she wept through Bible verses and spoke vaguely about online mobs and the enemy trying to divide women. But the comment section wasn't having it. You centered yourself, not the people you hurt. This isn't healing, this is hiding. Where's Cardi's name? Still? Meanwhile, Cardi's cultural capital skyrocketed. She was invited to appear on a panel with Ava DuVernay, Gloria Steinem, and Roxane Gay. The event, themed Voices That Changed the Game, placed Cardi at the forefront of a growing conversation about redefining female identity in modern culture. When asked what she thought was missing in current empowerment spaces, Cardi said, "What's missing? Honesty. They want the performance of power, not the truth of it. I'm messy, I'm real, I'm loud, and that don't make me any less valid than someone who wears pearls and prays quiet." That quote alone flooded timelines, inspiring tattoos, merch, and journal prompts in online wellness communities. Cardi had gone from rap queen to cultural disruptor, holding up a mirror to systems that used femininity as a leash. But perhaps the most poetic moment came when an old video surfaced, a 2018 panel where Erika Kirk, sitting next to a prominent male commentator, said, "Cardi B represents the collapse of class in our culture." That clip resurfaced and went viral. Cardi reposted it with a caption that read, "I'm not the collapse, I'm the correction." And the crowd went wild. Within hours, creators across platforms were remixing the line into poetry, protest signs, and even spoken word pieces. The sentence became symbolic of the larger battle Cardi had unintentionally ignited, not just against Erika, but against the structures that propped her up. In the closing moments of her next live stream, Cardi looked straight into the camera, unapologetically herself, and said, "You don't have to fit into their box to belong. You don't have to soften your edges to be accepted. You don't have to apologize for being real. They made rules to keep us quiet. I broke them all, and I ain't sorry." With that, she dropped the mic. And Erika? She watched her empire unravel, not from cancel culture, but from the truth finally being louder than her branding. In the weeks following the storm, it became clear that this wasn't just a feud, it was a turning point. Cardi B had done something no mainstream pop culture figure had dared to do so directly: challenge the polished world of curated Christianity and influencer femininity on its own turf. And win. Erika Kirk's carefully composed brand had unraveled not because of one viral moment, but because the foundations were built on exclusion. And Cardi? She didn't just kick down the door, she remodeled the whole house. From speaking engagements to academic panels, Cardi's name was being referenced not just as an entertainer, but as a cultural truth-teller. Universities added her interviews to curriculum under modules like Modern Feminism in Pop Culture and Challenging Respectability Politics. One professor from NYU called her Instagram Live one of the most impactful digital reckonings of the decade. And while Cardi thrived, Erika receded. Her follower count plateaued at a new low. Engagement plummeted. Her podcast episodes, once touted as bold commentary, were now seen as relics of a fading era. She posted less frequently, and when she did, comments remained limited. A few loyal fans remained, but even they stopped defending her publicly. In contrast, Cardi continued building. She released a spoken word EP titled Unfiltered, which featured verses inspired by the backlash, the silence, and her defiance. The standout track? Not Your Role Model. It topped iTunes spoken word charts in under 12 hours. The lyrics, raw and punchy, ended with, "If I ain't your example, let me be your wake-up call." Critics hailed it as bold, empowering, and genre-breaking. At the same time, Erika released her own statement, this time in a long-form blog post titled The Reflection. It was well-written, poetic, and full of lofty quotes and passive sentiments about hurt on all sides. But again, not once did she mention Cardi's name. It was the final straw. Commenters summarized it best. She wrote 2,000 words and still couldn't say who she hurt. Stop polishing your guilt into prose. Your silence was the message. And just like that, Erika Kirk faded from center stage, not canceled, but sidelined by relevance. Meanwhile, Cardi's influence only deepened. Her mentorship initiative, Too Loud to Lose, exploded, offering grants to young women starting podcasts and social justice projects. She partnered with nonprofits, appeared on the cover of Time with the headline, "The Volume of Truth," and was even nominated for a humanitarian award. Cardi had become a symbol not just of resilience, but of reckoning. In a closing interview with Trevor Noah, Cardi said, "I ain't want her ruined. I just wanted her to see me, but I guess she never looked past her mirror." The crowd applauded. The internet immortalized it. By the end of the year, Erika was still trying to reclaim ground, but it was clear the conversation had moved on without her. Influencer culture had shifted. The new wave wasn't just about clean feeds and muted tones. It was about truth, volume, and voice. And no one embodied that more than Cardi B. She didn't play by the rules. She rewrote them. And for the first time in a long time, millions of women felt seen, not despite their fire, their flaws, but because of them. You've heard the truth, felt the fire, and seen the fallout. Now it's your turn to speak. Cardi B didn't just expose Erika Kirk. She cracked open a culture of silence, shame, and scripted sisterhood that too many of us have endured. So what are you waiting for? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share this story with someone still trying to fit into someone else's version of acceptable. And most of all, let your voice be loud. Smash that like, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next raw, unfiltered moment. This isn't about cancel culture. It's about calling out hypocrisy and calling in those ready to grow. Be bold, be vocal, be unapologetically you. Because truth this loud, it doesn't need permission. It demands to be heard. Not your role model. Too Loud to Lose, I am Cardi B.